minutes. I think it should go live in the event. Okay. And we're live. Okay. So welcome everybody. As you know, we're doing a couples retreat coming up in Costa Rica. And we are having today the webinar for what we're going to be going through, Q&A, and some good stuff at the end for the next few people who commit. So Allie, my beautiful wife, is going to lead this. And so welcome everybody. And Allie, take it away.
Hi, yeah, we're excited. This is a great opportunity for couples like ourselves. We've been reached out to from a lot of people asking if we do couples coaching or if we do any type of retreats. And so we decided that this is something that we would want to dabble in just to see like how we can help other couples get to, the same level of respect that we have, as well as take their relationship to the next level within their business as well. So yeah, we're excited for this opportunity in the beautiful Costa Rica. So as we go through anything, if you have questions, please put them in the comments. Kyle will be sure to be fielding those questions and bringing them in. But let's get started. So for anybody that doesn't know who we are, explain a little bit of our background of Kyle and I. So Kyle, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself, or? I think you're on mute. Might need to unmute.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. So I come from the electrical engineering background. And of course, Allie and I are married. So we have 2 young kids together, and we live in West Georgia. But I come from electrical engineering background, got into real estate in 2019, and we started flipping with long-term rentals, and then we got into the short-term rentals and joined an awesome community, STR Secrets. And since we got into the STRs, we have been able to, in about 18 months, we were able to acquire about 55 doors, including a boutique hotel. And we were both able to leave, but I was able to leave December 31st, 2022, my W-2 job. And then, and Allie and I have always worked together in business. You could go back as far as we've been together since we were 13. So we moved out when we were 17, and we've done everything together as far as business and go to school together, work together, business together, everything, the whole 9 yards. And that is what more or less brings us here. So I guess that's about all I would say about myself.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to kind of talk about us both too, and we can get to that in a second. But yeah, so for me, very similar. We started in 2019. That's when we kind of started our true entrepreneurship business together. And I was able to leave my job first from a high school teacher. I was a high school teacher of science, and left after 6 years in the field. Because I really wanted to be able to be home with our kids because I realized how much I was missing. So decided to go down that journey. We started our short-term rental path after transitioning from long-term rentals into short-term rentals. And now we work on educating owners, operators, and investors to take all of their business to the next level. And we specifically specialize in short-term rentals and boutique hotels. I do think it's important, like Kyle was saying, is kind of talk about our relationship together, because that's what this big event is about. So Kyle and I have been together since we were 13. So we've been together for 18 years. So we've been together like longer than we were ever apart. And that, while it is an amazing gift, it can also be very challenging to be together that long, to be in business, to live together, to, literally do everything together. And so part of what this trip is about is how do you be a couplepreneur, a couple entrepreneur? How do you do that and, work through and navigate challenges and, help each other, support each other, bring each other up? And like, what are some different tactics that we've used, as well as implementing some mindset pieces with some additional, lesson prompts that we're kind of going to get into today that we've been through or that we have come up with that will help couples take their relationships in their actual marriage and their business to the next level. So we're just going to get into that today.
Wait, before you continue, I just want to make it clear, like, it's super easy living with me and being in business with me. It's super easy. Just want everybody to know that.
You're the entire reason our relationships held on this long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just me.
Credit goes to you. So what is the goal of this retreat? So the goal of this retreat is to realign and propel your relationship in your business. Okay. So throughout the retreat, we're going, and again, we'll get into an example lesson later on, but we're going to be using very specific tactics and lessons that are going to continually realign you and your spouse. You guys may think you're in alignment, but truly there is not an alignment. And some ways that we do this, and Kyle and I continually put ourselves in these positions where we're challenged to figure out whether we are aligned on certain things. And an example of that is we actually went to an event a few weeks ago. And when we go to events, we try to like split up. We go to different tables. We experience the event with different people. So we're not always together because there is a big thing. And part of this entire retreat is how do we separate the me from the we? Okay. How do we separate the me from the we? Because sometimes and it has happened a lot in our relationship where the we overtakes the me. And while the we is very important, the me is also has to be a priority for the we to achieve everything. And so for us, when we've gone to this previous event just a couple weeks ago, there was a activity where we were supposed to go through on planning out goals and to seeing, and Kyle and I had not had a conversation prior to this. This was a chance for us to come with our ideas, come into it very open-minded and go through our goals and come out realigned again. And so we went into this without speaking. We went through the activity, and then at the break, we came together and we actually got to see, it was like really scary that our plan and our goals were in almost complete alignment. And that is because of a lot of work that we've done together and the communication that we have. And so we're always just like continuing to realign. So I would say that even if you feel like you're aligned, that this retreat could be right for you, because while you think you're in alignment, it's always good to realign, because you never truly know when you could be ready within your relationship for a quantum leap after a realignment. Okay. So we're not really given those signs. So if you're thinking about it or you're on the fence, definitely consider that. So the purpose of this event is to push the boundaries on your personal relationship with yourself and your spouse. And the way that we're going to do that is we're literally pushing you outside of your comfort zone. So the activities that we have planned are intentional. They are supposed to be things you're not comfortable with, because within those specific walls that we're holding ourselves, until we break out of them, until we put ourselves in those uncomfortable situations and we get comfortable in the uncomfortable, there can truly be no growth. So that's what our plan is. Our plan is to take you through each of these planned out methodical days that with activities that have direct lessons with them that are going to push you outside your comfort zone to grow as an individual, but also grow with your spouse. So let's talk a little bit about the itinerary, Kyle. So welcome to Paradise. This is Nosara, Costa Rica, and we're going to be staying at the Lineup Luxury Villas. So this is actually the backside of the lineup here. This is right off the main terrace of the house. This is where we'll be doing our daily lessons. They have very opulent accommodations here. Private, really beautiful rooms. The owners have taken a great care in making sure everything is perfect. Restful and restoration sleep, as well as their very modern amenities within this house, as you can see. And the view is just incredible. The view is breathtaking. On top of that, we're going to have some luxury dining experiences. So we're going to get a private chef to come in daily and handle your meals. So you're not having to worry about that, as well as a private cooking class. So one of the nights we're going to have a private cooking class. You're going to have a VIP concierge service while we're there. We're going to do surfing lessons. What are the surfing lessons? Like, they are going to be private, but the biggest thing about these surfing lessons is they are going to like push you to learn how to be in flow with your partner while connecting through a new experience. Okay. And that's what all the flow of the ocean's about. So you're going to rise above a new challenge, as well as learning to maintain your balance through life. And a lot of people don't take the time. I'm just going to kind of pause it here for a second. A lot of people don't take the time. I just want to pause and take a moment here. They don't take the time to realize how much water does this for people. Okay, that you can rise above these obstacles, and the ocean is a constant inflow piece of the world. Okay, so being in the water, like, you may think that this is just a fun activity, but I've been in situations where people have cried by overcoming some of these obstacles, something they never thought they'd be able to do just by getting up on a surfboard. And imagine being in that like very uncomfortable position with not just your spouse, but other people. And I myself have actually experienced this exact activity and came out of it just a completely new person. Where something you thought you'd never be able to do, and then doing it with a spouse or with friends, and having all of that, just the rising above that obstacle you never thought you'd be able to do. And so in this, and with all activities that we have, you're going to have infinite support of the people around you. Everyone's going to be cheering you on. There's going to be a lot of reflection. There's going to be self-reflection, relationship reflection. You're going to get to observe others. You're going to have other power couples around you. We're going to get to go on a ton of new adventures. ATVing through unknown places in Costa Rica, and going to amazing hidden gem waterfalls, which I have been there, and doing some cold plunges, totally renewing. But again, like discovering that flow and talking about unity. We're going to get to explore Costa Rica. Of course, all their local fruits are total local delicacies. We're going to do some self-connection. So the men are going to go on a private fishing boat tour. You're going to have a thrill of a lifetime with some of these catches. I've been out personally on the boat here with this captain, and he's amazing. But the guys are going to get to form some bonds, and they're going to have their own lesson that day, while the women are going to go into like a deep subconscious reflection and relaxation, because most of us women and moms know that we don't get this a lot. So meditation, relaxation, we're going to go and have a spa day. And it's just going to be total renewal. So along with that, we have plans to have evening meditation on the beach, reflection of the day, giving you guys time to be a couple and reflect on everything, as well as nightly networking. But what you're importantly going to leave with is direction. Okay, a renewed purpose, as well as alignment, because that's our goal. Okay, so the question you have to ask yourself is, are you ready to realign and propel your relationship and your business? So in doing so, I really want to bring up just like, imagine, you're walking on this foreign country and it's just you and your spouse, and not a lot of people get the opportunity to do this, but you're taking that time to walk down through there, holding hands with your spouse, connecting, talking about the activities of the day, and really diving deep on what you both felt. But what's going to take it even further is sometimes us as spouses, we don't take the time to actually talk about anything then, because we work together, probably work. And we probably don't, besides work, we're probably talking about kids or pets or whatever it is in your life. So we want to be very intentional about giving you guys things to talk about. So this daily lesson is an example of one of the days that we would go through on the retreat. And this particular example is about identifying your expert companions. And Kyle, I'm getting like a lot of feedback. Do you think you could mute for a minute? Thank you. There's like I don't know, it's like maybe your fan or something in the room. Okay, so identifying your expert companion. So an expert companion is someone who can help you get through difficult times, right? And I think that we don't take enough time to reflect on, while we do love our spouse, sometimes we don't take enough time to reflect on like, what are they offering me versus like what I need from them, and taking the time to, again, realign on a lot of that. So in many ways, an expert companion can be the most valuable person in your support network. And as we all know, usually, especially in mine and Kyle's relationship, we're best friends. And we are each other's like number one support. So they're going to take care of your emotional needs as well as other kind of support that are going to make a huge difference. Okay. So having an expert companion is someone you can be around that you're comfortable sharing your problems with, knowing that you're not going to be judged, which should be exactly what your spouse is, right? They're going to be patient and treat you with respect and compassion while also offering ideas and fresh points of view. Okay, so we all know this. We want to talk about like quality of your companionships. Okay. So thinking about that idea about an expert companion would lead us into this prompt. So taking some time to reflect on some characteristics that you need from an expert companion. Okay. So what is it that you need? So this is a self-reflection of what do you feel like you need from an expert companion. Okay. So obviously, like it kind of mentioned in the prompt piece, it would be, we need someone that's going to have like not pass judgment. I need someone that is going to listen to me and be open like to fresh ideas. But some ways to do this, and we take it a little step further than this, is having a self-reflection, coming up with some of those characteristics. Whoops. But then taking it and saying, okay, well, if that's so, who are some expert companions like that are in my life, or celebrities or role models that I truly feel like I want to be like? What do I idolize within them and why? So, listing those people out and then saying why they could be an expert companion, why they feel, and you may not know anything about them. It could just be what you feel like you see from them. Okay. So, it could be a celebrity, and maybe you guys like Matt Damon, and Matt Damon would be an expert spouse because maybe he's always up for a thrill. I don't know, like whatever it is, right? So he has an adventurous streak, and like you want an expert companion that's ready to be adventurous and take new journeys with you. And so we would list those out. Then once we do that, we have some reflections that we would do. So there's going to be some relationship reflections as well as another self-reflection. So we would consider, of those people that you listed, what do those relationships currently possess that you would like to see in your relationship? Okay, so identifying of those, what you would like to see that's not already in your relationship, or if it's in your relationship that may not be as prominent as you'd like it to be. As well as what are some suggested ways that you think you and your partner could work together to gain these characteristics. So you've identified the characteristics that you want. Now, how do you think that you guys can work together to bring that into your relationship? Is that activities, communication, scheduling, whatever that could be to implement? And then the next piece, again, is another relationship reflection. So we talk about an expert companion as one of the most valuable assets in the social network. And your relationship should be nurtured, right? So what we want you to do is, with all this in mind, you want to, are you currently spending enough time with your partner? Okay. Because we should be nurturing it. We should be watering it like a flower. So are you currently spending enough time with your partner? And if you're not, what is preventing you from doing so? And an important piece of this is most people are going to realize that it's not anything that is actually a problem or things that are actually preventing them. It's a self-reflection, true piece of you're not making them a priority. And so I think that this brings up a very big piece that a lot of people have a true deep, not just a relationship reflection, but a big self-reflection at this point, is that a lot of people are not making their spouse a priority when they should be. And then the last piece is a very big self-reflection. So how can you devote more time and energy to this valuable relationship? Okay, so what can you do? What are some actual actions that you can do to devote more time and energy to that very valuable relationship? So we would do this activity prior to going out to all those fun activities that we have planned for the day, which gives you a time to reflect on what you wrote. Okay, so this would be right after breakfast in the morning before we leave. And then when you're out, you not only get to discuss this with your spouse, but you have other power couples around you because there's power in numbers. And you're going to get to ask all the questions, see what their answers were, because there may be other things that you want to steal from those couples, right? Oh, I love that idea. Yes, I want to take that back. And then we take it a step further. And we're going to give you homework because who doesn't like homework? So in the evening, when you come back, we are going to make sure that you have time set aside at dinner, and we're going to have an evening session where you can go through the homework piece. So there's usually going to be a discussion, an implementation, and an expansion piece to your homework. So for this one, the discussion would be for you to discuss all your reflections from the exercise with your spouse. And maybe you did that through the day, okay? But this is just a time to recap because maybe there were some things you added after speaking to other people. The implementation piece is to agree to 2 action items for both partners. So what are 2 things that you can agree to and your spouse can agree to each that you can implement for the growth of your expert companion? Okay, so how can I help you and how can you help me? And those could be things like, maybe dad goes and picks up the kids from school twice a week, or is it scheduling a date night, or whatever it is. Okay, we're just asking for 2 ways, and it could even be part of the communication aspect that we'll be talking about during this day. Expansion for this particular one is an essay by Neville Goddard on desire, because truly, when we really get down into this specific lesson, a lot of this comes down to the desire that you have for your spouse and the desire that you have to make them a priority. So for this expansion, we have the essay desire. So we ask those couples to read that essay together and then talk about how your spouse can help apply these topics. Okay, so the topics within the essay, how can we apply those to your relationship? How can it help on agreeing towards this new path towards an expert companionship? And then we're going to bring that back full circle, because the next day when we have breakfast, it starts all over again. So we're going to review from what you learned the previous day, ask you your action steps. We're going to keep you accountable. And then we're going to roll into the next lesson, okay, which will be very much like this one. And again, it will connect directly with exactly what we're doing for the day. Kyle, you want to jump in here?
Sure. Okay, so we go back and forth on, and I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people have the question of is this right for me? Is this right for us? So we got a list of questions here just for you to ask yourself, ask your spouse, really take an inventory of what you're doing, where you at in your relationship, where you at in business. And so a few questions that we have is for you to ask yourself, do you have a desire to work on yourself and your relationship for 4 days in a foreign country? If you just asked yourself the first part, Do you have a desire to work on yourself and your relationship? Period. So, Allie and I, we've been together a long time, and in every relationship, if it's new or if it's a longer relationship, you always have like those reset moments of like, hey, what we're doing here in this aspect isn't working. We need to fix this. We need to shift this. A big one for us is calendar management. And so, like, what are we doing with our calendars? Are you making time for yourself? Or are you making time for each other? So, do you have a desire to work on yourself in your relationship? Period. What is your attitude towards coaching? So, do you receive coaching well? Do you coach others? Do you try to coach your spouse? Does your spouse try to coach you? And just what is your feeling towards it? Are you open to it? So a lot of us, especially as you scale up in business and love and relationships, you become more open minded to start listening. And so that kind of goes. I wouldn't. I don't know if I would label it coaching from your spouse, but you have other power couples that are around you, and you see them doing things that you want to do, or you see them doing things right. In your opinion, they're correct. And so I would argue that is a type of coaching, right? Being around those kind of people and seeing those kind of things. So, are you open to being coached or coaching in a sense of community? Maybe just a neighbor or material. Because once we dive into the mindset side, that is also coaching. So mindset is really where everything starts. Do you accept the idea of challenging yourself or your partner to propel your relationship? And so we have a plan that when it comes down to, and we've talked to a lot of people about this, is you're very content in your day-to-day schedules, right? Like you go through your day and before you know it, it's dinner time. It's just the same motions. So, and we go through it. Everybody goes through it to a point of like, we need to pick you up and take you out of your environment. And we want to push the boundaries on yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others, or how you see other people, and really take you to the boundaries and push those boundaries to kind of break you down to build you back up. So, do you want to go 3, 4, 5 years in the same schedule every single day, every single week, every single year? Or do you want to push the limits on how you see yourself and step into that new role, step into that new person? So there's something that we go back and forth with of like, we all have these goals in business, relationship, money, health, all of that. So how does that person walk? How does that person talk? How does that person act? How does that person treat yourself? And how does that person treat your wife or your husband, your spouse? So, do you accept the idea of challenging yourself and your partner? It's really a sense of, are you really ready to take it to the next level? So, by not pushing the boundaries and seeing what you're actually capable of and stepping into that new role and really building yourself and building your relationship, that's not going to happen in a content life. It's just not going to. And you could think about that in the past, 5, 10 years or 1 year, or however long you've been together or been in the same position that you're in today, regardless if you have a spouse or not. If you really think about where you are at today and you want to step into that new role, look backwards to look forwards. Like, have you ever taken yourself out of that position? Have you ever pushed yourself to an uncomfortable situation to say, okay, we're going to take, maybe it's one step back to take 2 steps forward. So what the plan is we're going to pick you up and take you out of your daily environment and really push the boundaries on your views and your connection and your relationship. And in a sense, all of that just comes back to rebuild, to take you 10 steps forward. So that's a big one. Some of the activities we'll go through, and we'll talk about ways that's really going to push the boundaries on yourself and your relationship and your trust. Does this bring you closer to your goals? So, if you want to have a business with your spouse and you want to have a long-lasting, everlasting, loving relationship, is it going to be done by you just being content with everything? or are you sticking in the same position you're at now? Like if you're having struggles now in certain aspects of your life, without you stepping out of that and setting your goals and pushing towards them, you're going to be in that position for the next 5 years. So does something like this bring you closer to your goals? Something like for you to step out of your daily environment, create those new goals, realign, and push towards them. So whatever the goals are, doesn't matter. Does it have anything to do with your spouse? So does your goals include your spouse? Does your goals include having a very strong relationship? Does your goals involve you stepping to that new role? Does this opportunity help produce the life that you want? So a couples retreat or any kind of relationship building, goal setting retreat, does that help you produce the life that you want? Would that help you produce the life that you want? So getting clear on your goals, like I just said. So, Allie said that we've been to a couple of mindset events, and we are very aligned on where we want to go. And it's kind of crazy after we walked out of the last one, we're like, okay, we're super clear on this, and this. We divide, we conquer, or we do it together. Whatever the goal is in that certain business, we figure out who owns what and what can we do together. And, any event like this where it's not, we're going to have a lot of fun, but it's not just vacation. We will be working, but it's not all work. It's a very good blend of really a lot of mindset and goal setting on trying to step in, or not trying, but I'm sorry, stepping into that person and into that role and into that relationship that we idolize and that we see or we expect out of each other. So if any of those points, or all of those points really, but if any of those points is a yes, or is something that you feel like that's what you need or that's what you want, then this is the perfect event for you. If not, and you're curious, then let's chat about it, and we can help you figure out if this is really what's right for you. So do you want to, well, you can text us, DM us, retreat. You can comment on any of the live videos that we have. Allie's got it live on hers. I've got it live on mine. We've got it live in the event. So it's kind of all over the place, but realistically, like if you just shoot us a DM, then we can schedule a call and we can chat. So you want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
Or do you have anything to add to that?
No, I did want to just say that a lot of, like you talked about being very content, and I think a lot of people do reach that point where they get very content with their relationship, and then they get bored. And when you're in business together, a lot of it can become very monotonous. And so I think that was a very big point that you brought up. And like, this is not a monotonous trip. This is literally breaking the entire pattern of everything that you're doing, because most of the time your quantum leaks are going to come from when you interrupt and disrupt the pattern that you're in. And those are the best times. And honestly, it's the times that we've noticed, we've reflected back on when we've done this and we've just interrupted our, schedule that we've flowed into. When you interrupt the flow, new ideas are allowed to come in, and you grow as a couple, you grow as an individual, and it's so inspiring when you go through it. But it's even more inspiring when you're there and like watching others, and everybody's going to leave a new person, and that new person's already inside of you. You just have to be open and available to allowing them to come out. And I can definitely say that I feel like there's a lot of people that can benefit from this, because they don't truly know that they need this, but they know that something's got to change. Or they are starting to realize that they're in that monotonous state, and they're starting to realize that they're a little bored, and like, oh, there's not much things they can talk about with business. And like, we're not perfect. Like, Kyle and I are not perfect, but we have found a very congruent and flow with our lifestyle and how we grow as individuals and with each other that has allowed us to do this. And I think it's important to mention that we have many businesses together. So guys, like, we're not like a one and done. If anybody knows us, like, we have our hands in a lot of different cookie dishes right now. And just together we have 8 businesses. Okay. We have 8 businesses that we run together. We have a team of people. And so a lot of what we do is around business. And so it's just like, again, I think we even challenge ourselves daily with breaking that monotonous cycle of like, stop, speaking about business. Let's break the cycle. Let's do this. And we're constantly looking for ways to break our schedule up and go and do with other people, or go and do with our kids, or whatever it is. And, or, stop continually adding the same value and go add different value. Like, we're always looking for ways to interrupt the pattern. And so I challenge anybody that's listening, or anybody that goes back and listens to this replay, if you have questions, like, DM us, because we're really here. We really want to help change people, because we found that this is a need, and this is what people are reaching out to us for. And we want to help you. We're willing to share what we do and what we have gone through and read and experienced, and we're ready to share. So yeah, so I just wanted to like kind of add that in. But let's talk about.
Hold on, before you go on, there's a very serious, not very serious, but a very real conversation, like especially in the last couple of days for us, is calendar, right? I said that before, but when I specifically, more so me, when I start in on a new like venture or project or whatever, I go deep. I mean, am I wrong? Like, I go all in, I go deep, and I put blinders on, and I don't see or remember that I'm married or have 2 kids or have bills to pay. It doesn't matter. Like, bills come and go. Like, I'm just like focused. People knocking at the door, like phone ringing, it doesn't matter. And being like having that relationship, like that open connection of like 2-way connection of, hey, like, this is what's happening. We need to fix it. We need to realign. Or, hey, you're spending too much time here, or you're not spending enough time here, or whatever. Because we just had this conversation literally in the last 2 or 3 days of, it's time to put your head above water again and figure out what we're doing. So like every 4 to 6 months, like I have to have a calendar reset of, all right, let's take out the 80%. Let's focus on the 20%. And so, or just pivot and say, hey, this isn't working. Let's redo this. So having that type of relationship to say, like, for me or Allie to be open to say that, and then on the receiving end, and not getting mad and upset and trying to fight or whatever, because that's what I see a lot too is, hey, I don't want to talk to her or him about it because like all I'm going to do is just piss them off. And so like that's a whole mentality that you have to step out of, because if you want to have 8, 10, 12, I think, what was it? Gary Keller has 466 businesses or something crazy. Like Joe and Wendy Papasan, he has 46 businesses, and they have business together and they have business apart. But being able to be open and still have that communication of like, I'm receiving what you're saying. I understand. Thank you. But as the speaker part of saying, hey, I can, like, it's time. Like, it's time to have this conversation. And not being mad and not being upset, but just kind of like helping each other navigate through life, through business and relationship together without any kind of, what would you say, jealousy or envy or, being upset or anything like that. Like, these are the kind of events that puts you into that kind of personality and then in that type of relationship. And so I just want to bring that up because that's a very real thing that I see across the board for a lot of people. But a lot of people and a lot of couples that I know personally, they feel very uncomfortable and have that conversation. So again, that's a very real thing. So if you're ready to like step into that and start stepping into that ideal relationship that you want, if that's what you want, then something like this is good for you.
I would definitely say like a lot of our growth has come from like identifying what our fears have been. And a lot of things like they go through life and they don't realize what's truly holding them back. And a lot of it like boils down to a fear. And there's only like 6 basic fears, right? So one of the days we're actually going to kind of talk about this at the retreat and identifying what that is for you. And I know like for myself, like one of mine is a fear of criticism. And that comes just from like an environment and a lifestyle that I lived prior to getting into a lot of the work that we do. And it's something that Kyle and I have had to learn how to communicate effectively with each other because of that fear that I have of criticism. And it's more, and that is like for that one, I would say like that's way a good amount of women have that fear. And the criticism hits like pretty hard, right? So we that's part of one of the days that we're going to be working on is going through those different fears and like identifying like what is it that's really holding you back. And it may not technically be the fear of surfing, but and it may not technically be the fear of allowing your spouse to drive you through an ATV through an unknown jungle, okay? Or the fear of cold plunging or whatever it is. Like it's way deeper than that, and we're gonna dive into that. And I think it's so helpful for a lot of people because the first step is just identifying, right? You just have to identify. Then once you know it, then you can move past it by using like effective communication tools, and that's exactly what we've done, and we've been able to use those to grow and communicate effectively. But I guess Kyle, we can just leave this on the slide so that people that are joining or watching, they can see that they want more information, they can DM us.
Mhm.
But let's talk about what the deal we have for the retreat for the next 4 people that sign up.
Yeah, yeah, we can. So the next 4 people, we're gonna roll you into like VIP is what it's for the next 4 people. It's gonna be the VIP package and no extra cost. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 2 coaching sessions before we go. And so it'll really prep you and really start preparing you for this retreat or in this trip, in this event, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. Really prepare you for that. And then what we'll do is after the retreat and after we come back home, we're going to have 4 extra weeks of coaching after that. So Allie and I will be on with you guys, and we're going to do some one-on-one stuff about, we set all these goals, but we don't want to just leave you, right? So we want to make sure that we're hitting goals and we're continuing the structure, and continuing whatever goal that as a couple or as a person or whatever, doesn't matter, we set up for ourselves after. Like if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it, right? Like if you say you're going to step into this new person, okay, so let's go through the plan of doing that. Things like the 7-figure image, visualizing who we are, like that kind of stuff, and really stepping into the mindset. Starting with the mindset and stepping into that paradigm of the person that we're going to be. So the next 4 weeks after, we're going to have weekly one-on-ones with the couples that go, and so it's going to be 6 weeks total. So you have 6 coaching sessions, one-on-one with couples, and then after, or on the last day, we'll have that VIP will have the extra swag too. So we're going to do customized, pretty sweet swag for you. And just so like, hey, we want you to remember this forever, right? This is potentially the trip that's going to change your life for the better. And so, of course, you're going to always remember it, but we want to send you home with some really cool stuff. So,
and just so that, I was just going to say, and just so that everybody knows that extra value. So that's an additional value. We're not adding anything to the price of the trip. You're getting all of that for the next 4 couples that sign up. That's an additional $2,000 worth of value. In addition, right, for free. So 4 people that sign up, the next 4 people are going to get the extra VIP at no additional cost.
Yep. So do you want to go through the itinerary, or do you want to, what do you want to do next? Do you want to go through the itinerary?
We can go through the itinerary. I can bring that up. Give me 1 second.
Okay. I'm trying to manage like the 3 different places that the live is, which is kind of funny. But I know we had some questions before we got on. So let me know. Or are we going to go through you're going to pull the itinerary up?
I've got the itinerary, so let me pull that up for you.
I did have a question before today. Was I want to go, but I don't know if it was a female I was talking to. She's like, I really want to go, but I don't know if my husband's going to be in for it. Like, I want to be there. This is what we need. This is what we want. They have multiple businesses together, but the husband is really in the day-to-day. Like, very content, very like just involved, very much like I don't have time for it right now. And the question for that was, how do I, like, what do I do? How do I have that conversation? And one of the biggest things I would say is start with what you want. Right, like this is where we all start. We make decisions based off what we want. So I would ask yourself, and this is kind of a long one, but this is probably one of the most common that I hear is one spouse is in, and this is for everything. One spouse is in, one spouse just doesn't know, or one spouse may be out, or just kind of on the fence for whatever it is. Like buying a car, or trying to take their relationship to the next level and go on a retreat or something. Buying a course, it doesn't matter, whatever. Buying a house, whatever. So, anyways, um, the start with what you want, right? Like, do you want do you want to go, first of all, and why do you want to go? Do you think this would be beneficial to your relationship? Do you think this will be beneficial to yourself? Do you think this will be beneficial for your business and for your growth? And if you start really diving into that, and you are really serious about going, and you are really serious about taking whatever leap of faith, or quantum leap, or whatever that decision is, if you are really serious, then do it. And sit down with your spouse and start asking them the same question. And just be real, just be honest. Because if you're not honest, you're not going to get anywhere, period. Right? Um, you're always going to be wanting to do something else, and you're going to feel like you're brought back. You want me to add that to the stage? If you want to.
Yeah, I do need you to add it.
Just let me know whenever you're done when you put it up, the presentation. So, but if you feel like this is something that you really want to do, if you feel like, and again, this can go for anything in your life or your business. Me and Allie, this is how we got into the first STR program that we ever did. It was a $10,000 program, and Allie's like, this is what we need. This is what we want to do. Period. I want to quit my job and I want to be home with a second kid. I'm saying yes, so we're going to figure it out later. That was probably one of the best decisions that we've ever made, because we wouldn't be sitting here, we wouldn't be having the hotel and all that. So if you truly want to do it, then ask your spouse the same questions I just asked you. And if you're still kind of questionable, then let's just jump on a call, because I can ask those questions and I can ask you both at the same time if this is right. Period. So there's no black and white, cut, dry. Like, let's just have a conversation. Just have an open conversation with your spouse. Would you agree, or would you say something else to that?
No, I would agree. I would also say that another question I got asked yesterday was, or kind of more of a statement was, well, what about my kids? Like, I don't know, I should probably be staying home with my kids. And they went on and they were like, well, I don't know about childcare and all that. And like, those aren't problems. Okay. There are always solutions to those, questions that you have about that. But it honestly comes down to that desire. And what we already kind of spoke about the prompt, right, is, are you making your spouse a priority? And I'd say, like, it's not, so it's definitely about making decisions based on what you want. But I do also feel like it's also about making decisions on what you need. And so if you are noticing that you need this, that you need to realign, that a lot of those answers to those questions was yes, then it just comes down to a desire. Do you desire to go and work on this with your spouse? Is staying home with your kids going to get you closer to your goal? Probably not. Okay. Is staying home with your kids going to get you to, the desire of the relationship that you want? Is staying home with your kids going to help you align? Because I don't know about your kids, but when we're trying to discuss something with our kids in the room, we don't get very much done. So it's a constant chaos in the background. And while we love our life and we love our kids, It's very important for us, especially as entrepreneurs and with all of the hands in the cookie jars that we have, to constantly be in alignment. So it is very important for us to strategically plan where we are also attending workshops and retreats and goal setting events and everything, so that while we may not necessarily be working together at those events, we are working on this relationship, whether it is our personal relationship, our business relationship. And that is what's so important, that you need to ask yourself those questions. If you are putting your own roadblocks in front of you, then you are the problem. And the other things are not problems. It comes down to a desire. And what do you want to make a priority? Do you want to make yourself? Do you want to make your spouse a priority? And remember that you can make decisions all day long about who's going to stay with your kids and who's going to watch them. I am a mom too. I know that mom guilt is real, but I can guarantee you that you're not giving your children your best self if you don't take care of yourself first, as well as your children are not getting their best parents if you haven't taken the time to work on yourself. So are you truly giving your children the best advantage by staying home with them? Take a reflection.
Good.
Make yourself a priority. And so I would say, you're thinking about it, like take everything off the table, make a decision based on what you want, and then decide what the priority is going to be.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, you can add that into
get into the fun stuff here.
Yeah. All right. So day one, that's the arrival. So we are just titling this Embarking on a Journey of Love and Growth as You Venture to Nosara. Kyle and I always talk about when we get on an airplane and go somewhere just ourselves, how easy it is. So if it's been a minute since you've not traveled with your kids, do it. Come, send us a message with the word retreat, because I will tell you, it is such a simple process when it's just you and your spouse. And I also take this time to say, like, you guys are going to, get on that plane together and, checking your luggage in. Then you're walking hand in hand. You actually get to hold hands through the airport, and it's not your child's, and you're not running after a kid, and you're not pushing a stroller. It's just the two of you. And then when you get on the plane, it is so nice we love to like sit and conversate on the plane. So we'll talk about, like things that we're going to do when we get there and like what our goals are from like going into it. And we'll sit like we're so geeky about it and just sit and make notes and talk about it. But when you arrive, so you've done all of that, you've set your goals on the airplane, you arrive at the airport, okay, in in Liberia. And we're actually going to have a shuttle there for you. So you're going to get to meet everybody before you even get to the home. So everybody's going to get on the same shuttle. We're all going to travel into the lineup together. And by the time we get there, we're going to have a cocktail hour ready to go, as well as a welcome dinner that's going to be served there. And then we're just going to get right to work, and we're going to start our very first evening prompt. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of every minute that you're there, because we know you're there to work on yourself and your relationship. So we're going to give you that evening prompt that's going to like roll into the next day. In day two, we're calling that Unveiling Unity. Okay, so this is about self-discovery, connection, authenticity, and building your dreams together. Now, what is about this is exactly what I talked about in the beginning. This is separating the me from the we. Okay. The first day, we want to be very intentional that it is, while you are here to work on the we, you are also here to work on the me. So the very first day, we're separating you guys. You guys are going to get time away from each other. And we're going to wake up. We're going to have breakfast. We're going to go through our prompt for the day. We are going to then kind of be split up. Men are going to go on their fishing trip. Women are going to go on a wellness retreat. We're going to have lunch in town. So the guys are going to get to go to they're going to have some really cool options right in this like very cool little town where the fishing boat comes back in. And it's like, guys, you're not going to like this like fancy fishing pier or anything. You you're doing local events. Okay, we are being taken out by locals. We have friends that live there that are doing this, and you're getting the full VIP experience for both the wellness retreat and the fishing. Women, we are going to get to go and to town, and we're going to have some really cool cuisine options to take in, very local cuisine. And then we're going to get time. So both of us are going to get time to explore with the men and the women. We're going to get time to explore the towns that we're at, little gift shops and things like that. And then that's going to bring us back to our afternoon session at the house. And so we're going to come back to the lineup. We're going to go through our afternoon session, a reflection on that prompt that we had for the day. And then we're going to do sunset is going to be at 6, and we're going to do dinner. And then we are going to roll right back into getting you ready for the next day. Okay. So recap, doing your homework or assigning your homework and sending you guys into the next day. Day 3 is where it starts to get really adventurous. So on day 3, we're going about harmony and purpose. And harmony and purpose is about building strong foundations through embracing highs and lows and common goals. Okay, so highs and lows and common goals. And so that is all about surfing. Okay, literally the flow of the water. And so same thing, we're going to wake up, we're going to get things started, we're going to go through our prompt. And we are swiftly going to be whisked away to the beach for surfing lessons. And so we're going to have our own private surfing coaches. Again, I've gone through this exact experience there. It is phenomenal and it's very inspirational. And you're actually going to get to feel when you surf. Okay, the whole point of this lesson is when you're surfing, you actually have to be one with the water. Okay, and that's the flow. Embracing those highs and lows, as well as your common goals with your spouse. Okay, because we all know that's exactly how relationships go. So then we're going to have a good break. You guys are going to get to have lunch in town. We are going to do some shopping. Then we're going to come back. We're going to do a connection, and we're going to do the sunset together. But the connection will probably be meditation that day. And then we are going to have dinner in our evening session, as well as the homework, and send off into day 4. And day 4 is breaking through, and that's confronting fears and blockers for enhanced communication. So this is our day. We're going to talk about those fears. So what's interesting about this day is Kyle and I spoke about this, and we are both lovers of the outdoors, and we do love ATVing. But we thought it would be interesting to add a really cool twist to this particular day, in that spouses are going to have to swap and drive each other. So men are going to get an opportunity to drive, and then women are going to get an opportunity to drive. And so this is about communicating effectively, because I don't know if you guys have ever been in the car and you guys are constantly probably critiquing each other like we are. Like, what are you doing? Slow down. That's a red light.
You're the best passenger driver I've ever seen in my life.
I know. I am. I'm a passenger princess. And so, the whole point of this is getting you out of your comfort zone, because I know this is a big thing within spouses. One spouse normally primarily drives while the other one rides in the passenger seat, right? Because if not, there's a constant bickering that's happening. And so this is about breaking out of that, and you're going to be on a vehicle that a lot of people probably don't drive regularly, as well as you're going to be in an unknown jungle. And we're going to go to a really cool waterfall. This waterfall is amazing. We're going to hike down to it once we get there, and we're going to do a picnic lunch there, and we're actually going to get time at the waterfall to do a good chunk of our lesson. And that's going to be really cool, because the lesson's going to be totally connected with the fears and everything that we have, and then being in flow. So bringing day 3 back into day 4, and talking about that communication piece. That evening, we're going to go back, and we're actually going to have a shuttle, and that's going to take us to a very opulent dinner. La Luna, it is a phenomenal place. The sunset is one of a kind there. It's right on the beach. It's beautiful. And while we're at dinner, we'll do our daily wrap up and send you into our last day. So our last day, um, that is a day of departure, but we are calling it Renewed Journeys, leaving with lasting connections and moving forward with purpose. And so this is not, a goodbye, but just to see you soon, because we're going to have a wrap up after the event. So that morning, we're going to get up and we're going to do the same thing that we've been doing. We're going to bring it back full circle. We're going to review from the previous day. We're going to get reflections on the whole week, and we're going to actually take down your accountability pieces. So we're going to track your accountability piece because we're going to follow up with you. So if you're a VIP, remember the next 4 people, you guys are going to get the VIP package at no extra charge. And those 4 people are going to get 4 follow-ups after the event. Everyone automatically gets 1 follow-up after the event for accountability, but the next 4 people that sign up are getting an additional 4 follow-ups after the event, as well as 2 prior to the event, and travel swag. And then everybody will depart, and it is a long journey back to the airport that day. So there's going to be a ton of time for everybody to have discussion, reflection, as well as just a full renewal. And then you guys get to go back to that entire experience as well. Like when you came here, you guys get to hold hands to the airport. You get to go home together. You get to have amazing conversations on your flight home and go back through your workbook. Because that's a big thing we didn't mention. Like you guys are actually getting an actionable piece to take with you. You guys are getting a workbook. Everything's going to be put into that workbook for you, printed in there, ready to go. And you're going to get to take it back with you. And so it's something that you can continually work on. And Kyle and I love when we go to workshops and we have workbooks, because we are always reviewing and going back and looking at it, because we don't want you guys to lose that. We don't want it to get lost in, a notebook or anything like that. It's like, it's just all together and it's bound very nicely. And also within that workbook is going to be really cool, because all the connections that you made, all of the people that are in attendance, all their information is going to be in there for you. So it's going to be all those people, and you're going to be able to stay in contact with those people. And you also are going to get a little introduction the night that you get there. You guys can read through and find out a little bit about each other before coming in. So super exciting stuff. I feel like this is a huge winning itinerary, pushing people out of their comfort zones, connecting that me with the we, and just a whole renewal journey.
There's something that when I talk to a lot of people, I probably for the last year, I'd say, more and more people are looking for something like this, and I continually hear like, I haven't been able to find anything like this. This is what I always wanted to do. And then that paradigm shift of back of like, I need daycare, right? What am I going to do about the kids? What am I going to do about the time? Like, is this something a year from now you want to say again, man, I really would like to do something like this? Like, what are we doing? Is this, if this is really important to you and this is something you always wanted to do, then let's do it. Like, if you can say yes to any of these questions, and this can really hit home for you, this can really put you in that everybody has the idea of being like the dream husband or the dream wife, and this is what I want to do for my family. If that is true, if it's true, then what are we doing?
I think I would also follow that up with I made a comment to someone the other day. We were talking about this, and you made a commitment when you married your spouse. You made a commitment to them, and then you had kids. And while your kids are an extension of that commitment, one day those kids are going to be gone. And what I challenged this particular woman with was, what example are you currently setting for your kids? What example are you currently setting for your kids? Would you be telling your kids the advice that you're giving yourself? That this isn't the right time, that I have to stay with my children, that I don't know if we're going to be able to afford it, or whatever it is. But ultimately, would you be telling your child to make their spouse a priority or would you be giving her all the excuses you're giving yourself? And I think that's very important because we are talking with a lot of people who are couples in business together and have children. And um, I I think we can give our life to duty, right? We can choose that. You can choose to give your life to duty. You can be at the duty of your children. You could be at the duty of your spouse. You could be at the duty of your business. Whatever it is, right? You can give your life to that, or you can be free. And what would you want your children to be stuck in the chains of duty? Because that's exactly what you're putting yourself in. And so I would challenge you guys with that. Like, I very much, when I consider like things that what I want to do or like what we want to do as a couple, what would I be telling my daughter? And like if she was telling me this was something that her and her husband wanted to pursue one day, and I would want her to pursue that. And we want all of you to be put in an environment where people are going to challenge love and support you. And if you're not in those environments, or you're getting negative feedback from people when you're trying to make a decision about this, then you're probably not in the right environment, right? If you're not in an environment where people are, supporting you and loving you and challenging you to go out and better yourselves for the family that you've created, then I challenge you to find a new environment. Because that environment's ultimately playing a role in the decision you're trying to make for yourself and your family. So again, do you have the desire to come work on yourself and your relationship for 4 days in a foreign country? And do you accept the idea of challenging yourself and your partner to propel your relationship? I would say those are the two biggest questions in there. Do you desire it? And do you accept the idea? And the answer to both of those is yes, then you need to call us today. But if the answer to any of these questions is yes, send us a DM and let's talk some more.
Okay, so I'm trying to still monitor the 3, and it's all over the place.
That's okay.
So, question of what kind of people, and you kind of touched on this, what kind of people are looking to come? Like, what kind of person? So, I've actually got that a lot, actually, is what type of people are coming? Because, this is a couple that has kids, they have businesses. Are they going to be around somebody who's 17, 18, no business, no kids, not married, and it's just going to be a party time? And no, like, we're very protective of the people that are coming. We're very protective of the environment that we're going to introduce you into, if you will. And so the main avatar are the people with kids, with business. And it doesn't have to be, you both have to be in the same business with each other. Could be one of you still in a W-2 trying to get out, or maybe you love your job, doesn't matter. And the other one's in business. But it doesn't matter if one's in a W-2 and one's in a business. You're technically kind of both in business. Like, you're technically doing things together. You're technically going to houses together, going to look at property or whatever, sending emails together, looking at numbers together. So there's still that intertwined. So don't think.
I think the best way to say that is like one of you can be the front runner for the business and the other run a supportive role, and that's okay. Because the main part about this entire trip is learning how that communication and building up the renewal and realignment for everything moving forward, and truly getting to the aspect of what it means to have alignment and goals is what this whole trip is about.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And so don't think that you have to both be in the business together, and you both have to be on the front lines, or you both have to have individual businesses or anything like that. So I hope that answers the question about the avatar, because I know that's probably a pressing question for a lot of people, especially people who are successful in business with their spouse, and that's what they want to work on, and they want to be surrounded with other people like that. That is 100% of people that are either interested coming or have asked questions to come or anything like that, have shown any interest. And then I think those are the main questions that I've seen. Have you been asked anything else, or did you see any other questions?
I think the only other question that I've been asked recently that we have not discussed is about the room situation at the venue. So everyone will be getting their own private room. So the venue has rooms within the main house, and then it does have casitas. So I think that was a big question I've gotten. So you're not sharing a room with another couple. You are getting your own space because we understand this is supposed to be an intimate retreat. Okay. And we want to make sure that everybody has their own space to have discussion, to have alone time, and to really get into doing the work. Right.
Yeah, I forgot about that question because I've been asked that too. Because it's not a hotel. We're not staying at a hotel. It's not going to be like there's 45 rooms and a bunch of people. This is super intimate. So that pool that you saw is the pool for the private. It's is it called a villa? It's called the lineup. So if you ever wanted to look it up, it's called the lineup. But it's like a villa, but it's all private. So there are some like what is it? Two casitas and then the main house. So
Three,
everybody will be
three
okay.
casitas.
Three casitas in the main house, and so breakfast will be together, dinner will be together. It's not like we've been to a lot of events where you kind of break at 5 and then you just go and do whatever you want. It's not like that. It's very much like we're going to be together. It's going to be very intimate for the 4 or 5 days. Um, what is enough? I think that's probably it for now. And then depending on the questions, we may have we may do this again leading up to it, and or next week or whatever. But if you have any questions or you're on the fence of going, I would tell you that the next 4 people will get that VIP that we talked about, with the 6 extra coaching sessions and the personalized swag. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me or Allie. You could DM us. You could tag us in the comments in any of the lives because we lived it everywhere. Um, but if you have anything, just reach out.
I was going to say, well, we do have one thing that we had kind of talked about doing as another special for anybody that kind of stuck around to the end. And that was offering a slight discount for them. Do you want me to share that?
You can, yeah. I think your service might be going out. Either yours or mine. But I think it's yours. It's that Mac you're on.
Well, we can just. I was about to say I was going to try to share my screen, but we can just not do it if my service is going to go in and out. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about the next 2 people that message us with the word getaway. You can get $1,000 discount on your retreat. So $1,000 off your retreat. Next 2 people that message us getaway. So just send us a DM, send us the word getaway, and we'll take $1,000 off your trip cost.
So time out. Let me get this straight. So the next 2 people not only have the VIP with the 6 coaching sessions, not only has the swag, but now gets a grand off of the full trip. So can I message you? Can I be like one of those 2 people? I'll message you.
Yeah, that's it. It's a steal. It's a steal. So the next 4 people are in for a treat. So next 4 people are getting VIP, 6 weeks of coaching, extra travel swag as a bonus. And then and those coaching sessions are split up into 2 prior to the event and then 4 after the event, while most other people only get that 1 follow-up after the event. And then the next 2 people that message us the word getaway, you guys are going to get an extra $1,000 off of your total cost.
Hot dog. Okay. Okay. Well. Oh, Allie dropped. I knew her service was bad. I knew it. Okay. So if she doesn't come back in, I don't know. Send me a message or Allie a message. And then getaway is the code for the next 2 people, like she said. I don't know if we talked about that, but that's a heck of a deal. So that's pretty crazy. If you need anything, please let us know. Comment or DM us, and I will talk to you guys soon. See ya.